Hi everybody, this is Lara at pureelliottwave.com, and I'm going to update a cryptocurrency for a member who's requested an update for EOS. This is for Peter. I had a quick review of my last video for EOS because weirdly when I opened this up in MotiveWave, all my work was gone, so I kind of had to redo it. So I've already done a little bit of work on this. My conclusion last time was EOS didn't have enough volume for good-looking Elliott wave structures, but I've done some more work on it and I can actually see a decent-looking Elliott wave count, so I might want to change that conclusion from my last bit of work. So here it is on a weekly chart. Why is that overlap? That's better. I'm going to start my wave count down here. This is the low, October 2017. Cycle wave 1 over here in just 11 weeks, so might need to move the degree of labelling down 1 degree. Cycle wave 2, combination, expanded flat for W, X, and a zigzag for Y. No problem there. Y ends pretty close to the same level as W. It's very slightly below. It's affected sideways movement. That's the purpose of a second or third structure in a combination, to move price sideways and take up time. Cycle wave 2's lasted 113 weeks, so that's a pretty good duration for a cycle degree wave. Now to look at cycle wave 3, if this wave count's correct. Second wave is over there, third wave has begun, and so far there's an overlapping 2 first and second waves, with primary 1, 2, and then intermediate 1, 2. Primary wave 2, this is a bit of movement I had trouble with last time. Let's go down to the daily chart and I'll show you how I resolved that. Primary wave 2 actually subdivides quite nicely as a flat correction, a zigzag for intermediate A, a running contracting triangle for intermediate B, which has affected a net retracement of A that is more than 90% the length of A. So at its end, B is a 1.0484 length and A is 0.824669. What's that percentage? Let me just calculate that. B is a 1.27 length of A at its terminus, or at its end. So primary wave 2 then fits really nicely as an expanded flat, and all the subdivisions fit really well. So I'm really happy with that. So I revised my opinion of EOS. It looks like it might have enough volume for reasonable looking Elliott wave structures. From this low up to this high, there's a lot of overlapping, and I can't see an impulse complete, but it does fit as a leading expanding diagonal. It doesn't look quite right though. This overshoot here and this here don't have an ideal look, but it does explain the overlapping and it does fit. It just doesn't look quite right. That's okay. The volume is probably big enough for it to meet Elliott wave rules, but it might not always have the right look. Anyway, so this is a leading expanding diagonal. 3 is 5.59, it's longer than 1. 5 is 10.31, it's longer than 3. 4 is 4.27, it's longer than 2. And the trend lines are diverging, so it meets all the rules regarding an expanding diagonal. Now to look at the structure of 2, and this is the key. Is the structure of intermediate 2 complete? And the weekly chart level, we can pull an invalidation point in, and I can give you a target. Or no, I'm not going to give you a target. I am not going to try and calculate a target for this. I'm going to give you an invalidation point. Here's the invalidation. Intermediate 2 may not move beyond the start of intermediate wave 1, which has its start at 2.034103. So while price remains above that point, this Elliott wave analysis remains valid. No, that didn't work. Okay, so now the question is, isn't intermediate wave 2 over? Is this downward movement over? The Elliott wave count says that we shouldn't see a new low below 2.034103. And I'll be looking at classic analysis. I've already prepared that chart at the end of this. I'm actually going to put minor A there. Oh, and I think minor B might be a triangle. Let's expand this out and just check these subdivisions. I'm in Bogota now, which is super exciting. My husband is Colombian and we've long wanted to go and see his family here. He's from Bogota. Well, he's a bit confused actually. He's Colombian, Texan, New Zealand. childhood in Bogota, the rest of his growing up in Texas, and then he's been a New Zealand citizen. He's been in New Zealand for about 20 years, so here they can tell he's foreign. In New Zealand we think he sounds American, and in the United States they think he sounds Kiwi, so it's kind of funny. But anyway, yeah, cool city, horrible traffic. Okay, that fits really well. Okay, so the question is minor wave C over? Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. This looks like... Okay, first of all, let's see if I can label minor wave C complete. I suspect not. Or actually, possibly. What's this high? 5.093399, and this high 5.098, so I think I want to put 2 there, and then that means 3 here. Subdivides beautifully as an impulse. Let's expand this out so we can see what we're working with here. Yeah, that looks good. 5 isn't really going to work though, is it? Is it going to be an ending diagonal? I don't know. No, see, okay, so this would be invalid for a diagonal. Within an ending diagonal, all of the subwaves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, must subdivide as zigzags. The way motive wave is put, the labels here is invalid because within minuet 2, this low moves beyond the start of minuet 2. So to label minuet 2, let's put the ABC labels in here and I'll explain what's wrong. Minuet 2 may only subdivide as a zigzag. Within a zigzag, B may not move beyond the start of A. And here, obviously, subminuet B moves beyond the start of A, so that's invalid. So that means 1 has to end here. Is it going to work with the... Oh, yeah, actually that does work. Let's just check this high. The high of minuet 4, 4.170996, and this high here, 4.1. Okay, that has to be here. Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Well, yeah, it could be over. And the size of this looks disproportionate to all of these corrections in here so far. So this looks like a new wave. So if that's the case, then I want to label intermediate 2 over here. It's a very deep correction. Let's put the triangle labels on this one as well. This looks really good. Okay, so the Elliott wave conclusion, it does fit. It meets all Elliott wave rules. The only problem is this overshoot here and here of this leading expanding diagonal. The proportion is good. Primary 2 lasted 34 weeks. If intermediate 2 is over here, it lasted 29. It's shorter in duration. It's still quite a long duration. That's okay. That's within reasonable expectation for an intermediate degree wave and a primary degree wave. The subdivisions actually have a pretty good fit. Let's have a look at classic analysis and see if that conclusion of possibly a low in place is supported. I'm just going to look at the daily chart here. The moving average situation is full bore bearish. The short is below the mid, is below the long. They are all negatively sloped, and price is below all three. So that's bearish. Price is actually consolidating with resistance at 3.5, support at 3.0. Volume starting to show some increase for these downward sessions here, a little increase. But within this sideways movement, we do have strongest volume on upward sessions, which would suggest an upward breakout may be more likely than downward, except ADX is telling us there's a downward trend, and it's got a long way to go before it's extreme, and RSI hasn't reached oversold. But RSI did reach oversold back down here. Let me just have a quick look at EOS price history. Looking at a previous bearish trend for EOS, this is from August 2018 to a major low December 2018. Let's have a quick look at the entire price history here. So we're looking at this low down here. How did this behave? It ended with really strong downward volume. Selling climax down here. At the low, the moving average situation was full bull bearish. On balance of volume, we could put support lines in here. It was making new lows with price. RSI reached over 60 and well above both DX lines. It got really extreme. This is the one I want to look at. ADX was very extreme. RSI also very extreme. No bullish divergence. RSI reaches extreme here, and there's a long way for price to fall. This was only in the $4.30 range, and it got all the way down here to under $1.75. So RSI reaches extreme here, and look how far price falls. And no bullish divergence. Okay, let's look at the current situation and compare. RSI has just reached extreme here, and we've seen a bounce up. Huge bullish candlestick pattern here. That's weird though. I don't know if I'd want to give that too much weight. This would be possibly a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. It has some support from volume too. And here we get another strong bullish candlestick with support from volume. Can't break above resistance at 3.5. ADX reached extreme, but not very extreme, and certainly not as extreme as it could for this market. And RSI can reach oversold again and can remain there while price falls a considerable distance for this market. This one has really strong bearish trends. Okay, bottom line for EOS, I want to see a breakout from this consolidation zone. The short-term volume profile suggests it may be upward, but ADX is telling us there is a downward trend and RSI is not extreme, so there's plenty of room for a downward trend to continue if it is now in place. But I would want to see a pretty good close below support on a downward session, preferably with support from volume, but not necessary, before I had some real confidence in that downward trend from EOS. The Elliott wave count says there's a complete structure down here, and the invalidation point's not too far away. So this is a really hard one. And my conclusion is, I'm sorry, but I want to see a breakout here before I have any confidence in the next direction for a trend for EOS. Okay, that's it from me with an update for you this week on an extra cryptocurrency. I think Litecoin is next on my list, and if I can get that done tomorrow, I will, but otherwise I'm so sorry, it'll have to be next week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much again for all the support from my membership. I really do appreciate all of you and all the YouTube subscribers, and thank you so much for your engagement, and I hope everyone's looking forward to an awesome new year.